Hi, Chem Peeps. Let's talk about predicting products in a chemical reaction. On the left, top left here, you can predict products, and this is what you're looking for when you look at a problem. You want to look at what type of reaction you're dealing with. And I know you only have half the reaction there, but we're looking at the reactants. Are you going to switch cations and anions for some type of replacement, either single or double? Are you going to combine two elements to form a compound? Are you going to break apart one substance into smaller pieces, most likely elements? Or are you combusting a hydrocarbon, a carbon and hydrogen compound, in oxygen to form CO2 and water? So that's the first question that you need to ask yourself. Over here on the right, I have a breakdown of the different types of reactions. We have synthesis, decomposition, combustion, single replacement, and double replacement. I have 5 examples below, not in that order. So let's go down through them, identify them, predict the products, and balance them pretty quickly. So looking at the first reaction, we have a CH compound and oxygen. When I look at that, I am going to think of combustion. And that's a pretty simple prediction because it's just going to be CO2 and water. So we're going to write CO2 and water. Now we do have to balance this, and I have a video on balancing, but real quickly, this is going to be a 2, a 15, a 12, and a 6. Looking at the next reaction, I have aluminum and I have sulfur. And sulfur is similar to a diatomic element. It doesn't come in 2s when it's by itself, but in 8s. So I have 2 elements. So an element plus an element is going to be a synthesis reaction. I'm going to combine them, and I'm going to have to remember my cross down rules for forming compounds, and I do have a video on that. Aluminum has a +3 charge, sulfur has a -2. If we cross them down, there's going to be a 2 here and a 3 here, and then balance, this is going to be 16, 3, and 8. Looking at the next one, we have a single compound. Well, the only thing we can do with that is decompose it. We're going to break it down into its elements. Sometimes it does break down. If it's a pretty complex compound, it could break down into smaller compounds. But in this case, we're just going to form nitrogen and hydrogen. Now, we need to remember there are 7 diatomic elements on the periodic table. There's hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. Those 7 elements, when found by themselves, are going to be found in 2s. And so that's how we write that equation. And then if I balance it, I put a 2 here. No, that does not want to write. I'm going to put a 2 in front of the ammonia, and I'm going to put a 3 in front of the hydrogen. Next reaction, I have lithium, which is an element, and I have aluminum chloride. So this one is a single replacement. I am going to replace 2 elements, and I'm going to be doing the cations here, and I always tell my students to put the known charges above. Like replaces like, so lithium is going to replace aluminum. Aluminum is going to come over here by itself. Something that you need to remember is the activity series, and maybe I will do a video on that. A lithium is more reactive than aluminum, so it is going to replace the aluminum in this compound. If it was the other way around, if aluminum wanted to but lithium out of that compound, it would not be able to do it because it's less reactive. So aluminum is going to be by itself now, and lithium is going to be with the chlorine, and they both have a single positive and negative charge. And to balance this equation, I'm going to put a 3 in front of the lithium and a 3 in front of the lithium chloride. This last reaction is a obviously by default double replacement, but if I look at it, I have a compound plus a compound. So I'm just going to put the known charges above here so I know what is replacing what. Both compounds have a polyatomic ion, so it's important to keep the identity of that polyatomic ion intact. So aluminum and hydrogen are going to replace each other. They're both cations. So the hydrogen is now going to be paired with the hydroxide. And these are both 1s, so it's just 1 to 1. And we could rewrite that as water because HOH is the same thing as H2O. And then I'm going to put aluminum with a +3 charge and the sulfate with a -2 charge. And of course, we got to cross those down. So there's a 2 here. Make sure there's parentheses around your poly and a 3 here. And then to balance this equation, I'm going to have 2, 3, and 6. And so that's how we predict products. I hope this helped. Find my other videos on YouTube and TikTok at Kim's Chem Chats.